talk of dharma and darshan in the Indian context, from the textbooks and other books also, there is a broad division which has been formulated in tradition. If I remember correctly, right from the days of Madhavacharya. Source book is Sarva Darshana Sangraha. Sarva Darshana Sangraha, which is recorded in the textbooks, you can know. There is a broad division among the different darshanas. Astika and Nastika. You must have come across that. I am referring to that distinction because to me it seems it has some implications, direct or indirect, or both, with regard to dharma, niti, and also darsana. The division as it is stated in the book and which has been carried out subsequently in the darsanic framework is that Astika darsana is that darsana which subscribes to the sayings of the Veda, adheres to the sayings of the Vedas, number one. And Astika is that darsana which does not subscribe to the sayings of the Veda. But as tradition continues, in popular parlance, in course of popular parlance, it also leads to another meaning which has been widely propagated and perhaps in certain corners it is accepted. Astika stands for the God believer and Nastika stands for God disbeliever. These are two different divisions there. Believing in the sayings of the Veda or the authority of the Vedas and believing in the Ishvara or the existence of Ishvara as the Srishtikarta and things like that. That is different. That is different. Now, so far the first point of distinction that is prescribed or that is suggested in that source, original source, this is confusing. This kind of division on various sectors seem to overlap each other. Certain darsanas which are grouped under Astika, they do not accept the authority of the Vedas. And certain other darsanas which are classified as Nastika, they though do not accept the authority of the Vedas, they also have their own, not God. We are not talking about God, don't confuse. We are talking about authority of the Vedas at the moment. Now we are talking about the authority of the Vedas. They have their own respective authority. A question is raised in that direction. If they have their own authority and if we have our own authority, what is wrong there? This is the question. You may not accept the Vedic scripture, but you have your own scripture. Suppose somebody says like that. So, this kind of resentment was echoed in certain cases. Within the Vedic, within that Astika group, which is said to have been accepting the authority of the Veda, as a matter of fact, there is the inclusion of Sankhya Yoga and Nyaya Vaisheshika, which are quite important darsanas in their own strength in the Indian scene, Indian panorama. They have not specifically accepted or hinted or indicated. There is no allusion about Vedic authority. They have their own independent origin, and in that way they follow. Maybe their sayings and the proclamations about Vedas as claimed by certain followers, on many occasions they found to be telling each other, but that doesn't entitle to come to the conclusion that they are accepting the Vedic authority. So, this kind of division seems to be not logically consistent. Finished? Clear? Coming to the general understanding about Astika as God believer and Nastika as God disbeliever, there are difficulties. Difficulties in the sense, conceptual difficulties, from the rational point of view, that within the Astika group there are many philosophic positions or darsenic positions which do not have the sense of authority of God. I am not talking about authority of the Vedas. Now I am talking about the authority of the acceptance of the Vedas. There are clear examples about which I discussed yesterday. I will not go further today. It is already discussed. Now there is another dimension about Astika or Nastika to be moral or immoral. To be moral or immoral. That is another dimension. First level discussion, second level discussion, we have already closed. Now come to the third level discussion. There we find the things are not so clean as it appears to be initially. Which course of philosophical position that you want to adhere to, and you try to establish your point of view by defending that stand in this way or in that way, or which particular religious view that you are going to defend and oppose the other point of view and advance grounds for that. All those grounds, whether of that type or whether of the other type, they are not morally rooted. Morally in the general sense of the term. In the general sense of the term, they are not morally rooted. They are not having that kind of either ethical sanction or ethical non-sanction. It is not found in that. For instance, whether we should go with, I am just giving you the examples, whether we should go with the acceptance of the Sankhya point of view, for instance, then there must be the admittance of two ultimate entities, ontological or metaphysical entities, principally, that is Purush and Prakriti. You know that is well known within Sankhya framework. That kind of setting, this is a philosophical setting or non-philosophical setting? What is your answer? Philosophical setting. This acceptance of the followers or the adherents of that particular view, this acceptance, is it rooted on moral ground or some independent other grounds? Yes or no? Is it rooted on certain moral and ethical standard? Whatever may be the norm of the standard, that will be discussed later on, if at all time permits. Or it is just on some other ground. I am referring only to Sankhya, not going beyond.
Not necessarily moral ground.
What is that? Spell out.
Natural order.
Natural order? No. Observing nature, I have to say that. No.
Metaphysical principle.
No. How? Yes, metaphysical entity they have accepted, but what is that?
Evolution.
Huh?
Process of evolution.
Huh?
Evolutionary order.
Evolutionary order? No. They have not used the word evolution. There is no English Sanskrit equivalent for that.
Creation.
No, there is no creation. In Sankhya there is no creation. No, you are not able to exactly pinpoint. I would say both of them, either the concept of Purusha or the concept of Prakriti in Sankhya system, right or wrong, they have been advocated by the Sankhyites in the traditional sense of the term on the basis of independent juktis or arguments. There are certain arguments why Purusha exists. There are certain definite arguments why Prakriti exists. So those arguments are not moral arguments. Those are independent arguments, whether right or wrong.
Right.
Whether the arguments themselves they are right or wrong, that is immaterial. But it is a fact that arguments are raised which are not moral in character, which are not ethically or morally oriented. This is a fact. So, this is with regard to Sankhya. Come to Vedanta. Vedanta, of course, is a very big term because it includes so many variants. Advaita Vedanta. You know Advaita Vedanta? To put in a nutshell, what is the doctrine that it emphasizes or propagates? Advaita Vada, Nirguna Brahma. Okay? Now that concept of Nirguna Brahman, which has been advocated by the Advaitins in general, not simply referring to one thinker like Shankara or X or Y or Z, but in general it is accepted. There is some ground, they have given some grounds naturally, because anybody who proposes a particular stand must have to give the ground. That is the usual expectation, normal expectation. Whether the grounds are ethical or non-ethical.
Philosophical discussion is non-ethical.
Whether philosophy involves moral reasoning at times or not.
Yes.
That is another question. But in this case, I am specifying that either by a Vedantin or even by the Advaita Vedantin or by a Sankhya, for instance, and you can multiply in this, because I will not go on discussing each and every system at the moment. The regions are, whatever regions they are given, whether they are themselves right or wrong, immaterial of that, the regions are non-moral. May not be immoral either. Since they are not moral, they must be immoral. I don't mean that. But they are non-moral. This much I would say. Non-moral. Okay. That is all that it is. So, this is one point that we arrive at. Now, to believe in one kind of spiritual formulation, which is usually the case with the suggestion that philosophy in India, it is amalgamated with a dharma. Dharma and darshan, they go on together. Taking that aspect into consideration, only that aspect, which is advocated in some quarters, taking that aspect, the advocacy of a particular spiritual point of view, whether Brahman should be Nirguna or Brahman should be Saguna, whether there should be duality or there should be non-duality, Dvaita or Advaita, whether there should be Dvaita, not Dvaita, not Advaita, but Dvaita, Advaita. Something like that. These are the classifications which we come across either by a Madhvaites or by a Nimbarkas or by a Ramanuja or by a Shankara among the Vedanta. So in that way if we proceed, the differences between the different groups, the philosophical differences between the different groups, whether by a Nayayika or by whether by a Ramanuja, Shankara or by Ramanuja or X or Y or Z, whether that is definitely they want to establish different spiritual point of view in the usual sense of the term, leaving apart the darshan, whatever spiritual spiritual element like it's Saguna or Nirguna or Narayana, or it should be same as Vishnu or something like that. Whether that is rooted on moral sphere or non-moral sphere. Based on what? Brahman should be taken as non-different from self. The individual self and the permanent self, they are one and the same. Tadatmi, that is the word that is used in that connection. Aham Brahmosmi, Tattvamasi, this is one stand. Right or wrong, this is one stand. Not Tattvamasi, not Aham Brahmosmi, but so I am belong to him. I am not identical with him. I belong to him. Whom I surrender. So, Dasoham. What am I? I am not Brahman. I can't be Brahman. I am not identical with Brahman. But I am his Das. Charanachara. I am not saying whether it is right or wrong, or to be dependent or independent. I am only stating the different marks by a Sankarite and a Ramanujite. For instance, you can multiply. And such differences are Darsanic differences. Leaving apart the word philosophy. These Darsanic differences are rooted on certain particular pattern. I take up this pattern and I try to defend it. I take up that pattern, I want to defend it. That stand, pattern means stand, I want to defend it. So, Advaitic stand means I will always see in whichever way that must be defended. Dvaita stand, that must be so formulated, it must be defended on the opponent charges. And that is the tradition in which the sutras and the bhashyas they are composed in our tradition. What is that? Purvapakhya. And then we try to demolish the Purvapakhya first and accept or establish our point of view. That is Uttarapakhya. Supposing I am an Advaitin, I would state what are the difficulties in the other system, what are the points which are raised from other quarters as apparent opposition to my stand. And in my own way I have to meet those difficulties. And then I indirectly, that is some people say this kind of technique or the procedure which is adopted in the Indian philosophical tradition is somewhat corresponding to reductio ad absurdum. You know what is reductio ad absurdum? You all know it perhaps. Reducing the opponent's point of view to absurdity, and in that way indirectly my stand stands. That is the approach. Now, my next question is, granting this to be the procedure, granting this to be the technique, right or wrong, is it morally ingrained or absolutely indifferent to morality? Ethical consideration. Is it ethically indifferent? Indifferent, not in the sense of being careless, but that is not his concern. I am using the word indifferent here, not in the sense of carelessness, but it is of no concern to me. That is all. And maybe ultimately, if one is very much addicted to a particular point of view, he may also develop a kind of emotional attachment to that. He cannot get rid of that. If you become a strict Advaitin and you don't want to partake with that, you are not only rationally, reasonably very much close to that, you also develop a kind of emotional attachment. That also happens in many quarters, in some quarters, not in all cases, but in many quarters. So that also is the case. All these discussions which I am now having with you with regard to this shows that a spiritualist need not, but sometimes they may go together. That part I don't rule out. But need not have any moral background or moral leanings. He may be, he may not be. Morality is more than, sir, आपने पहले इतने कथा करते खाली गाड़ी करते religion को spirituality की morality का कौन करते? You can raise this question. Some people can raise this question. To be moral, in the general sense of the term, which I have also hinted on the first day, it depends upon situation, circumstances, context, etc., etc., that I have discussed. That is already discussed. In addition to that, another thing which I am now suggesting, even referring to Indian background, barring or leaving aside the Western footfront, there it is directed to another point. It is directed to another point, namely, what is taken to be my standard, the ethical standard or normative standard as you teach in ethics. Ethics is a normative science. Norm, you take that. That depends upon so many other factors which sometimes Sometimes, again, mark the word sometimes, you relate to the spiritual conclusion which you arrive at. Sometimes, but not necessarily. Not necessarily. They can also be practiced independently. They can. So, a spiritually well brought up personality can be exposed to both the things, moral conventions as well as immoral states. So also, the non-spiritualist is in the same manner or in similar manner, not exactly same, I should say similar manner, exposed to different outlets, moral as well as non-moral. And we find a number of instances, cases in the past history and also today, everywhere, because this they use that the question of morality and spirituality, they are independent of each other within India or within this tradition, not national geographical tradition, within this tradition and also in the other tradition. There is no intrinsic relation between the two. There is no bar from this to conclude that they never go together. I don't see. But their togetherness is only chance coincidence. Chance coincidence.
सुযোগ আসলে হবে না
It is not. Their togetherness is not necessary. Thereby I am not decrying. I am saying this is a matter of fact. This is a matter of fact. Only this much I know. I don't make any assessment about whether which is the right one, which is the wrong one, whether we should adopt this path or that path. That I leave it to you for your personal judgment. But this is how actually they are placed. They are independent of each other. In this sense.
রিলেশন ইজ অ্যাক্সিডেন্টাল
Koi pa chance koi chhi
অ্যাক্সিডেন্টাল ଅଛି ରିଲେସନ ନାହିଁ ଯେମିତି ଆମେ କହି ମାନେ ଇଣ୍ଟେଲିଜେଣ୍ଟ ରିଲେସନ ନାହିଁ
Well, I will say to you another thing. There are instances that are given very often. Certain instances are cited in this context. You see, you are disbeliever from the start. You want to be disbeliever. You want to be non-spiritual. So from the very start, you try to this way or that way to oppose my point of view, oppose our stand, the spiritualist stand. Somebody may raise this question. Somebody. I'm just giving an example. You can all the time you are bent upon criticizing me, downgrading my stand. So you are saying that it is not the case. But you see, I have gone to the temple, or I have gone to a particular institution, or I have gone to a Baba or a Mama, because Baba Mama they are born everywhere in India today, or any time. They are not scanty in number. And quite often we find that they are genuine ones. In the sense, they give certain advice, they give certain directions, and then somehow or other we also get result. That we don't get results, that also I don't rule out. In some cases, though not universally, but in some cases we definitely get. Is it a case or not? Does it happen or not? Agree or disagree? Does it happen or not? Okay. But from the fact that it happens on some occasions, that we go to the temple and we have a prayer, we surrender to the God, expect some result or reward. Now don't take mythology into account. Mythology, in case of mythology, we hear that somebody is going for penance and then some devas or devis arrive and they give a borrow or reward and he becomes X or Y or Z, and then there is different thing. I am not able to that. Even in the normal standard of today, not going to mythology. Today we happen to go to some places, we have the ardent, sincere, reverent expectation, and also we find at our return whatever we want, we desire, that miraculously happens. এভাবে কেস হচ্ছে না হওনি, হয় কি নাই? এবং ତା ଦେହରେ ବିଲିଭ୍ କରିବାର ସାମର୍ଥ୍ୟ ବଢ଼ୁଛି ନା କମୁଛି? ବଢ଼ୁଛି। ଏ ତାକୁ କମ୍ପ୍ଲିଟଲି ସବୁ ଚାନ୍ସ ଭେରିଏସନ୍ ଚାନ୍ସ ବାଇ ଚାନ୍ସ ହେଇଗଲା, ମିରାକ୍ଲସ୍ ହେଇଗଲା, ଏମିତି କହିକି ତାକୁ ଉଡ଼େଇ ଦେବାଟା ଟିକେ ଅସୁବିଧା ଲାଗୁଛି ନା ନାହିଁ? Immediately we cannot rule it out. We cannot rule it out. I grant that even. There is also another saying which is found in our tradition, a context, which you might know also. I don't know. Billy, you know Billy? चाय वस्तु से सिक्का ना चिप दूध, जब भी कितने सिक्का ना पड़ी जाता, अरे दूध में पड़ जाता, तो बात ना पड़ी जाता, जाके चिप। देर देर सही की नोड़ियाँ लग गई, छोड़े दे, बिल्ली कपड़ा को सिक्का चिप। I refer to that example. My point is just to refer to that example. सेभलिया नित्रे से चाहिए इच्छा कोई थिला सेटा खसियो बोली सेटा खसला कि सेटा पाइला एगो चाहिए बोली तो खसला तार से ये जो दौड़ा टाण नथिला दौड़ा थिला तापर पवन हला कि कोन हला समथिंग देयर इज अदर फैक्टर देयर मे बी अदर फैक्टर्स ना ना सेगुडा न थाई कि मत भुस्क्री भलो थाई कि भी खसी जने कोई पारे कटा दैट पॉसिबिलिटी इज नॉट रूल्ड आउट ताकू इंडियन ट्रेडिशन में गोटे जगह अच्छी इट इज नॉट रीजनेबल एंड द रीजन दैट इज एडवांस दैट ता जोगुरु ता चाहिबा जोगुरु एटा खसिला एटा कोन पाई जानि छ के कोइ बेर हु कैन से दैट फैलेसिया नहीं संस्कृत रे हां उत्तम परम कष्ट हां काकताली अन्य चलो कितना बढ़िया कितना कहबो कितना कहबो अच्छा so this kind of thing also is there in our tradition. Not that only one, there is only one track. Not that there is only one track, there are several tracks. This track is also there in the tradition. I am not just conjecture from my mind. It is already there. You follow? So in that way, taking the different sides into consideration, we find that the reasoning that is adduced, either from that side or from this side, they are not adequate. They are not found to be adequate ones. So far, if we don't find the cause immediately, what do we say? कर्कट रोगटा कहीं होची आम ता जानी पाबो अर्थ सपोज कैंसर रोगटा कहीं मनुष्य होची we do not know the cause fully. So we say when nothing is being sure and the doctor has completely left out any hope and all that, and the patient is suffering, we say that. Do we say that or not? Normally we say that in our circle. That is a question of appeasement. When we don't find that cause, we just give a blanket rule that either kala hegala na kon hegala ame jani. This only speaks so far another angle which I am analyzing, that we do not know how the disease occurs or how the disease is to be prevented, how the disease is to be effectively challenged. We do not know. We do not know. Maybe neither in observational science, nor even in experimental science, nor even in our common sense, we don't find any clue. One line is surrender. We do not know. That is also one line. There are people who go in that line. There are other people's mind or ours, mind individually or ours, not being able to diagnose the cause. Does it rule out the possibility that we won't find it in future? No. What is your answer?
Doesn't rule out.
Doesn't rule out the possibility. That is the way in which science moves. Somebody asked me about philosophy of science and religion and all that. This point is quite relevant. in science, they don't go after truth in this absolute sense of the term. They only take about the different courses. Whatever facts are available, made available to us, with that we go on deciphering, analyzing the facts through our technique, through our laboratory techniques or whatever techniques we have. Okay? We go on exploring and then we're trying to find out the cause or trying to find out a solution. We make conjectures. The term that is often used, which you have also found in your inductive logic orientation, is what? Hypothesis. Provisional supposition. Provisional supposition. But the provisional supposition is not an end in itself. It has to be undergone through different kinds of tests and verification. And in that way, this is the very elementary science. Inductive logic is the most elementary science. When further in that line, we go for conjectures. That means it is not to be just brushed aside as mere guess or mere surmise. It is a bit more advanced type because it is based on some kind of factual evidences or rational background. But so long as a particular theory, when it is formulated, it is not found to have been contradicted by any other counterfact. Counterfact, it remains. The word that is taken up in that connection by the scientist is that this theory is accepted, no more the previous theory is accepted because it explains less number of facts. This new theory has explained more facts, therefore it is more probable. Acceptable in the sense it is more probable. So probability is the criterion of proceeding further, moving further. Conjectures, and so long as it is not refuted by any contrary evidence, not by me or by you, but by the empirical evidences, whatever it is, it remains. It provisional remains. But there is a challenge to it, substantial challenge to it, if there is a refutation from the contra side, from the factual side, contra-factual side. Similar may be the course of argument, is the course of argument by somebody, by some people, those who are not taking the part, what can I do? That is already predestined, preordained, predecided, and the Mahatmas, if he has the grace, then only I can be lifted from this tragic habit, so that I go to the spiritual leader. That is all right. That is very much fitting to my sentiment, to my emotion. It caters to the need, and sometimes that emotion becomes effective also. I don't deny that. But from this, it does not rule out the possibility that since so long we have not been able to find out the cause, it will be found out in future. So, while this is also the point which you, Mr. asked me to make a demarcation between philosophy and science. Philosophy in the traditional sense of being identical with metaphysics. Philosophy and metaphysics is that, in the sense of metaphysics is that, while in the science, they go, the commonality between them is that they are having similar kind of method. The method is nothing but analysis. In general, though the nature of analysis is found to be different from one to the other. One is more factually oriented, the other is conceptually oriented, which we have discussed. I don't want to go further. But there is another point of demarcation. So far the classical form of philosophy in the sense of being identical with the metaphysics is taken into account. There we find that the conclusion which is attained by a particular philosopher is claimed to be apodictic in character. You know what is apodictic? Necessary in character, invaluable in character, absolutely true. If you are a Spinozist, you cannot but maintain that if there is a substance, the substance to define in this manner, it must have attributes. It can't go without attributes. If you are a Cartesian, you have to define a substance in this manner so that that substance must not be one, but ultimately it must be many or two at least. so that we reach in dualism. Or anything like that. You just go multiple other examples. So in that sense, this kind of necessity, apodictness, which we find in metaphysical theories or metaphysical speculations, that is not present in science. The misnomer in common sense level by many is that science gives us fully absolute. Never science claims that. Science, but that probability is not to be taken in the pejorative sense. This is most important. When I say it is probable that this may happen in future, the weather forecast when it is being made by the weather experts.
Prediction.
Predictions that is made. The prediction is also probable, but is it pejorative? No, it is not pejorative. It has a substance of its own. It is based on some ground, some observation, some technical theorizations. So that's why probability is only to show you or show us, to mark us, that the question of absolute truth or apodictic truth, certainty, is not a business of knowledge in the human sense of the term.
Business of philosophy.
Business of knowledge. Knowledge in the normal human sense of the term.
In respect to science.
No, it doesn't happen anywhere. Absolute necessity is rather a myth. I would say. I would rather say, I would go to that extent of claiming that absolute truth, unconditional truth, Chirantana Satya is mythical, is found to be mythical.
Knowledge with
Mathematics are in mathematics and...
Good. Yes, mathematical truths are said to be absolutely certain. Are said to be absolutely certain. 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, or 2 right angles can never be of this time, and things like that. You can't multiply those numbers. They are taken to be not false on any standard. But do you know what is the reason of coming to this stand? Do you know what, if you try to explore the reasons, what is the reason that we arrive at? It is already so defined that a straight line must be of this type, and a triangle, if it is defined in this form, then it cannot be anything other than these 3 varieties which you come in the Pythagorean system. In the particular, if you have a different system of geometry, the reasonings may be different. But so long as you are there within the particular mathematical form, you have to accept this. So that is formal truth. The truth that is arrived here is not concerning matter of fact, but it can be applied to matter of facts. The mathematical rules can be applied, and we can apply mathematics can be there, and it is very much workable also. That is all right. That we don't deny. But by themselves, the numerals by themselves don't refer to any entity, any existential thing.
हमारा फॉर्म नॉट थिंग्स है इट इज नॉट फॉर्म नॉट थिंग्स
एक पॉइंट को रखिएगा इतना रखिए मतलब तक अप्लाई कर लेगा if it is how to workable we can apply, there is nothing wrong in it, there is no absurdity. So such type of specifications in different modes of reasoning, different modes of seeing things, that ultimately depends upon the particular framework with which you start, whether with a particular physicist stand, or with chemist point, or with a mathematical stand, or X or Y or Z. So, in all this taken together, philosophical findings is not to be taken as overlord, which I have discussed the other day, or as a scientific overlord, not in that way, but only to see, to show, to reveal what are the connections where they meet, and what are the points in which they differ from each other. That's all.
These are not philosophical problems, factual problems.
For instance,
The factual in the sense, our thinking process is a fact, our imagination is a fact, our intuition is also a fact, our feeling faith are also facts.
Yes.
So they are
Yes.
factual in that sense.
Okay. Coming on, and he has made a point, and let us try to understand it. Yes, I agree with all that you say. I would only say, why philosophy? Why not every discipline? Whether it is science in the experimental sense, or in the observational sense, or the common man, including philosophers, they have all these footprints. Man normally, I am not talking about the abnormal man who is a lunatic or mad or anything exceptional in the sense of pure exception. I'm not talking about that. Normal man, standard normal man. He is exposed to all these things. He reasons, he has affection, he has emotion, he has cognition, he has the element of collation. All these things are that following that standard tripartite division: cognition, collation, and volition. Accepting that, that is standard. Now, so why philosophy? Everybody, not only philosopher, but everybody is exposed to that. Philosopher never said that one is to be completely made zero and the other is to be given only full supremacy. Reason is the paramount, others are about. No, that is a misnomer about philosophical analysis. I would rather, this is my stand. That is a misnomer about philosophical analysis. Philosophical analysis is only to suggest where which stands, where the basis belongs to which particular fact. So that let there be no intrafusion between the two, or between the three. Emotion, let it remain in my own side. I am a scientist. I am a philosopher. I am an ordinary man. I have my own personal traits. I have to face different traits in my life. I have to be a good scientist. If at all I am a scientist, I must be honest to my profession, honest to my study. That is one part of me. I am a social man. I am a married man. I am having the household life. I must be loyal to X or Y or Z. I am having that particular platform. So, to quote one philosopher saying, a very standard philosopher, man needs standards and duties. Bradley, F.H. Bradley. My station and my duties. That is the right. My station and my duties. I am referring to that. So what does it connote? What does it imply? It implies that man is not one facet. Man's personality is not one facet. It is multifaceted. It has different dimensions. It is exposed to different dimensions. And to be normal, not in the sense of morally absolutely pure honest, but normal even a normal man, to be normal, it has to attend to all these different facets. The scientific search and experimental laboratory testing with which I am very much engaged, probably I am engrossed to face some particular interview or to face some particular test or to arrive at a particular theoretical conclusion, to discover a new finding, whatever it may be, that may be there. But that doesn't rule out the possibility that the other stations which we have, that is the household affair, the affection towards wife, or the affection towards the children, and other things, one after another, they have to be completely negated. If they have to be negated, then to that extent, as a man, what is my normal expectation that I am not able to fulfill? So, let the different things be there. My going for philosophical analysis need not debar me to see films. Wittgenstein is one example. One of the foremost philosophers. He used to sit in the cinema hall quite often, and not only in the back bench, but in the front bench, because thereby he gets more inspiration for his philosophical. Whether it is true or false, I don't know. This is recorded in the history. But I mean in this little biography by other authors. What I want to arrive at is this, that a football player cannot be a good musician. They can go together. They can be very well, but that they must go together, there is difficulty. There is a lot of difference between may and must. There is a lot of difference between their afterness and their byness. Delay ଚାହିଁଥିଲା ସେତେବେଳେ ଶିକାଟା ପଡ଼ିଗଲା, ତା ଯୋଗୁରୁ ଶିକାଟା ପଡ଼ିଲା. This is one thing. And ତାପରେ ଏଟା ପଡ଼ିଲା, that is another thing. Their afterness is not necessarily their byness. This is already there in the classical tradition, both here and also West. Hume, David Hume, The best example is David Hume. But so that is how my reaction is to your question.
सर किसी कॉमन एथिकल प्रिंसिपल अच्छी की
जीवन हो जाए हाँ कौन कर
common ethical principles among all men, among all religions, among all Indian systems.
Well, religion is अच्छी नहीं मैं कोई पर भी
Beyond all exceptions.
ना ना मैं कोई पे मैं more reaction about to your query my
सर कहीं ହେଇପାରିବନି ଇସଲାମିକ ଯୋଉ କୋଡ୍ ଅଫ କଣ୍ଡକ୍ଟ ଦଉଛି ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ଇଜ ଇସଲାମିକ ମୋରାଲିଟି ଆଣ୍ଡ ହିନ୍ଦୁ ମୋରାଲିଟି ବୈଷ୍ଣବିକ ମୋରାଲିଟି ଶୈବଜୀ ମୋରାଲିଟି ହେଇପାରିବନି
वो पर्टिकुलर
Beyond all exceptions, do you or do you not admit that there are some common qualities, some of moral qualities among the all universalists?
Okay. I understand your point. Yes. My reaction will be as follows. My own personal reaction. Your initial assumption that Islamic morality, Hindu morality, or Saivic morality, or Shakta morality, etc., which you have professed, it is said in many quarters. In some quarters it is being said. And if we go to the core, we find Satya Pada is perhaps universal. Or to be honest, is perhaps universal. Outset, we find some based on this kind of reasoning. But when you go deep into the matter, the reasons that are advanced by each of them, it shows. Of course, now immediately we cannot justify because of the paucity of time. But one thing is certain, that whatever ideas, whether they are moral or not, they may be moral, they may not be moral, they may be for some spiritual attainment, whatever they are, doesn't matter. Those are prescribed in different religions or cults, because you have referred to Shaivism, Shaktism, etc. They are prescribed, keeping close attention to their own individual respective point of view, so that ultimately it must be Kali to which you must adhere to. It must be Allah to which you must adhere to. That part is underneath. All the time it is underneath. Maybe it is found to be commonly practiced by many religions. I don't deny that commonality. But the commonality is professed in each religion from their own respective point of view. Not with an universal setting. And the idea of Vishnu Dharma, which was there in the Veda or Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, as I said some time before, that again is based on a peculiar awareness of what Vishnu is at that time.
Yes, sir. Sure.
That kind of Vishnu and the present kind of Vishnu, or the time of intercontinental approach or the inter-satellite approach which we are now being faced at 21st century, that was never known, occurred to them. So, simply because the word Vishnu is used there, we cannot just immediately transfer it to the universal setting. That is my point.
Sir, say connection morality intrinsic to human nature. What is meant by intrinsic value?
Coach. A point that got clear.
Simply we jump from this branch to that branch.
Immediately we make a jump.
Branch. We have no standard.
We have no standard.
Simply we say that possible exceptions are there. Or where we start.
That particular thing, when we talk, but there is a normal sanction of the saying that it is universal. Universal is approved by all communities barring their own religious specifications. That clearly shows that the universal acceptance, which is very much commonsensically also needed, and we have the sense of universal brotherhood or universal peaceful coexistence, etc., which are placed as examples. That shows this kind of situation arises, as a matter of fact, not because of the particular specific religious ground or religious sense, but because of socio-human necessity. We all have the spirit of moral feeling, or to be together, this moral feeling which we find, which you may call it to be moral, you may call it to be situational. you may call it prudential, whatever it may be, that happens even today on many platforms, despite the terrible differences, classes between one nation and the other, or one group and the other.
Sir, maybe that socio-human necessity is common to all or not?
Even
If that is common, then that is dharma.
that you are really defining dharma to accommodate these things.
If socio-human necessity is common to all, if that is the explanatory factor of this question, then that is dharma.
Wait. Socio-human necessity, I have used that terminology, right? And when I talk of socio-human necessity, I do accept that there is a sense of commonality which is found or which is expressed on many quarters, despite their differences. That also I accommodate. That also I accommodate within my framework. But again, I want to point out that is not strictly moral in character. That is not strictly moral in character in the way in which traditionally we have understood the term morality. That is for mutual adjustment. Compromise example.
That means you are agreeing that there is a absolute or universal morality and particular morality.
No.
Or morality as itself.
No, that also varies. In situation it varies. I don't take absolute morality at all. Absolute morality for me is a myth.
That the object of love, the object of love.
If you want to go, you can go.
Moral values are intrinsic to human nature.
No, they are not. Morality is as a fact among individuals as immorality is. How can we ignore that? Immorality is also intrinsic.
Intrinsic means causal relation.
There is no causal relation. You happen to be moral.
Intrinsic relation, that is causal relation or natural relation or something, some other thing.
The what intrinsic doesn't arise at all, either in case of moral or in case of immoral. It all happens due to situations. A man becomes moral or a man becomes immoral because of the situation and circumstances and factors. So there is nothing called natural here.
Sir, how do you define moral, sir?
This is how we behave. This is how we categorize. That's all. There is no other thing at all. This is how we characterize. Morality is a classification or not? Moral behavior, non-moral behavior. How do we decide? We make a classification. We make a grouping. We agree with that. So that grouping, for some purpose we accept this group. For some other purpose we change the group. You see, I am giving you another plastic example. Maybe a little rude. For a particular, I have hinted that in some course of time. In some course of time, to go for many, what is that called? Monogamy. Yes, monogamy and polygamy. You see, at one stage, monogamy was approved, very much approved. And another stage, not monogamy but polygamy was approved. And it all depends upon the situation again. It all depends on it. Now I will give you different instances that because of certain factors, whether man created or natural calamity, whatever is there is the complete imbalance of proportion between the male and female, because of which you cannot just insist upon monogamy at that situation. That actually happens. This is a fact. We cannot rule it out. Another thing I am giving, which is very much recent, which was not, they are known to people. Putra Kriyate Bhajya. This was the tradition. Because it is a male-female society and we go on that way, we must have to beget children. Why? Because there will be progeny, future progeny, continuance of power progeny, things like that, whatever it is. That was the tradition. That was the tradition at one time. Right or wrong, that question doesn't arise. But even now, it is established in certain scientific circle which is already known that man is not necessary to beget a child. Man is not necessary. Purusha is not necessary. Putrati kriyate bhajya is no more. It is okay. It's now completely outward. One can go with that. Whether we should do that or not, I am not raising that question. Whether it is a fact or not. So if you take that into account, then marriage is the usual sense of the term that male and female must go together. That is no more at home. And there you have to formulate the moral principles accordingly. My point is that I am not saying whether we should immediately go for that. I don't say that. I say whether this is possible or impossible. Man is to marry. That is also not only they are sanctioned in some society, it is legally approved, politically approved in countries. Female, they have to marry each other, they have to remain together, and that is also not accepted. Which one is moral, which one is immoral? I will not rethink about the very non-morality itself.
Socially,
But that is also they have their own
what is
society.
good is moral.
Huh?
Social and environmental, what is good is moral.
Contextually, but it cannot be said to be universal. Chaitanya called universal morality is a myth.
That is the definition.
That is not universal. Contextually.
That is the definition, sir.
No definition. This is how we find. If there is a different occasion, we can go and make different conjectures.
Yes,
It is all open. Nothing is closed. Chirantara sabda kichhi nahi.
It is subject to exception.
Some situation. That is my
The open-ended, sir.
open. No closed mindedness.
We have not reached that truth.
There is no. How do I know that they are true?
आत्मा जो कांट जो कथाटा कहले रियलिटी जो अननोन है नहीं आमे तो ग्रहण करली
नहीं আমি গ্রহণ করিনি
আচ্ছা, কোন?
no you see you read content you read content say that ওড়িলে সে জানি বলা কি জানি nomena Hegel was completely confused during his own time, but because at that time the line of argument was not developed. Naturally, the way in which we argue now, that may be reformed later on, doesn't matter. But Kant, when makes that distinction between phenomena and noumena, and saying that noumena is an entity which remains unknown, that was the type of impression by the followers or by the other people in then time. So then there is a question, how do you say that there is a thing which you know but you say it is unknowable? This was the contradiction. This was very cheap contradiction that was there. But that was not found to be the correct reading of Kant's position. Transcendental does not mean another metaphysical entity in a Kant, because Kant nowhere says that there are metaphysical entities. Read the other book, Prolegomena to any future metaphysics by Kant, not simply critique of pure reason. Prolegomena, there is another important book, Prolegomena to any future metaphysics. Transcendental does not refer to another ontological entity. Ontologizing in that sense is very much absent there, but by that time it was not clearly known, so that there could be different opinion. And I could rightly see to the historians or philosophers, those who write it that way. Noumena is a limiting concept. As infinite, I told you yesterday, to be a limiting concept. Noumena is a limiting. Here is the crossroad. To know means to know anything that you can just find it in phenomena. Knowledge means to know something which is out there. So knowledge means to know something which is not already in you. That doesn't make any sense. If it is already in me, what is the point that I know? I know means I know that. So objectivity cannot be ruled out as Berkeley did. Nor even subjectivity is completely ruled out, because knowing means to know I know or he knows or he knows. Or nobody knows but still it is a fact. That point is there. So the controversy between realism and idealism doesn't stand, right? So that is the way in which he proceeds, Kant proceeds, and then say nothing beyond this we are supposed to say anything at all. So noumena is that, it is not like Plato, not reading Kant through Platonic form of universalism. It is only to say here we can't go further.
अरे क्या बता रहे हैं कि ब्रांडिंग कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ थिंग्स इट अनपरसीव्ड ये पुणे
ना रियलिटी का इधर
कांड को जो
नहीं सेटी होगी काहे की राइट अरे कांट वाज नॉट ए हेगेलियन और हेगेलियन
ब्रैडले से कदा
ब्रैडले इज ए हेगेल सुनो कुछ बुझो ब्रैडले इज हेगेलियन only this distinction is he never says it to be absolute spirit like Hegel so bluntly. He makes a distinction saying that these are all appearances and there is a reality. So ontologization is very much present in Bradley but not with Kant.
Berkeley जो कथा कहले physical things exist unperceived. Physical things exist unperceived. That doesn't exist. Berkeley से कथा कहले नहीं.
Berkeley view of
कांड को noumena को
नहीं everything already. Anyway, thank you.
सर atheistic भी है non-theistic कौन है? atheistic
moral principles are divisible. No doubt. Divisible are how it is.
Flexible.
However, at the same time, the principles of the morality will be sustained.
The moment you adhere to one principle at a particular time and a particular context, that you cannot have. So long as the situation remains intact. In that way, it is invaluable. The character of inviolability of a moral principle remains so long as within that framework. You remain in that framework. ମୁଁ ଯଦି ଏଇ ଫ୍ରେମୱାର୍କ ଅଛି ମୁଁ ବୁଝକି ସେଠି ଜବ୍ କରିପାରିବି ଏଇ ସେଥିରେ ଇନଭାଲବ୍ ନଟ୍ ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ଆଇ ସୁଡ୍ ଏନକ୍ରୋଚ୍ ଦି ଅଦର ଥିଙ୍ଗ এই পয়েন্ট
सर जो काले को दिले atheistic non-theistic रे एका तो
ମୁଁ ଦିଟା ହଳ ଶୁଣିବ
Atheistic, non-theistic एक नहीं सर. Atheistic और non-theistic से होता है.
well, more or less they go together, I would say, but still there is a difference. In some quarters they maintain the atheist is very directly staunch attacker of religion.
Attacker of?
Religion. Theism. Religion is in the theism. Theist. Atheist is a radical opposite. Achi? Nahi. God achi? Nahi. God can be proved. Oh, yes, God can be proved, but can it be disproved? ये बड़ी गई क्या theist वाला बड़ी गई theist वाला oh God can be proved atheist वाला तो कोई ना God can be proved so immediately God can be disproved can you disprove God
माने ये सुनोती से विधि सुनोती नहीं
ये non-theist ना सुनो try to understand their point let us try to understand their point ये कोची अच्छी माने सिस्टम अच्छी जब जहाँ पर जब तेरा प्रकार ना तबाड़ ऐसा करें either through ontological argument or through teleological argument or through तीनटा argument तो अच्छे होते हैं principle तीनटा argument तो तेरा कोई हो जाएगा और what is ontological argument what is existence of God oh the idea of God implies the existence of God so that can't माने कर the idea of $10 in my pocket doesn't mean that there must be actually $10
island of the
हाँ ये चल पढ़ी तो सब पढ़ी एथिस्ट तो कौन कहबो जे नाही गॉड फॉर किछ नाही के नहीं सब गॉड बुत कर करना से कोई दो सो दैट इज द रेडिकल डिफरेंस बिटवीन द दे आर पोल अपार्ट theism and atheism they are poles apart non-theist is of a different category neither belong to theist camp nor belong to the atheist camp काहे कि केमती तो ना आला सब जिनिसर कोई सब जिनिसर केवल ये सब नो भीतर सीमित होगा तार मध्य चुक्ति अच्छी तू पढ़े पढ़े नानार्थक दोष fallacy of no questions डिडक्टोलॉजी का पढ़ा fallacy of no questions many questions right fallacy of many questions कोर्ट रे जरा कुछ ओकलो है काकू अक्यूज्ड को है तू मत खा छाड़ देनी जदी कहबी हां बोली ताले बोली करे तू बागुर मत खाऊ तू जदी को छाड़ीली तब तो बर्तनी मत खाऊ ए हज असुविधा है दिस एग्जांपल दैट इज गिवन so in that way it is being suggested that either you say it is theist you are a theist or you are a non-theist अरे कौन कहूचो वो पूछी पड़नी theism का कहूचो theism का कहूचो काहे कि जने तू जदी गॉड ना अछि बेली कहूचो केमिति कहूचो बुझे जनुटी कोन गॉड कहले ये गोटा अप्रोच तू जदी कहूचो गॉड नाही बेली केमिति कहूचो नाही बेली तू जरा कोन जानिची गॉड ता पता कहूचो ता नाही बेली हो एगार टेबल अछि ये नाही आलना नाही तो आलना कोन जानि पड़छो तू गॉड कोन कहूचो टे बुझे दिन मते तू आरो गॉड कोन बुझी पड़नी दैट इज नॉट एथेइज्म trying to understand how far you are making the surmise and how far these different surmises they are mutually consistent, coherent or they are illogical.
ता कैटेगरी बाहर नहीं बढ़ ता कैटेगरी बाहर नहीं
से कैटेगरी लॉजिकल पॉजिटिव सा कॉलेज वगैरह क्वेश्चन डज नॉट आ रहा है
सही